Get back to some folks to see what the feeling is now post-verdict. Kristen, appreciate it as always. Thank you. Donald Trump will have no shortage of mentions in the history books as a businessman, a reality TV star, the former president, of course, and now convicted felon after a jury of his peers considered that evidence and ultimately found him guilty on all 34 charges. That, of course, is how the justice system works in this country. Trial by jury is a fundamental principle of this democratic republic. Here's how Donald Trump's lead attorney characterized the jury's verdict on CNN last night.
Do you accept that he did have his day in court and it was a jury of his peers that made this decision?
No, not at all. We were indicted for conduct that happened in 2015, 16, 17, in a jurisdiction that it was very hard for us to get a fair trial. Every single person on that jury knew Donald Trump, either as president, as candidate, from The Apprentice. And so I don't accept that this was a fair place to try.
Joining me now, Donald Trump attorney Will Scharf, who's also running for Attorney General of Missouri. Well, good to have you with us this morning. I'd love to pose that same question to you that Caitlin asked Todd Blanche. Do you accept that your client, that Donald Trump, did have his day in court, that this was a jury of his peers?
Well, I think, first of all, you said in your lead-in that President Trump would be in the history books as a convicted felon. We don't believe that's the case. We're going to vigorously appeal this verdict. I think this case is replete with reversible error. We are going to take this as high and as far as we need to, including to the U.S. Supreme Court, to vindicate President Trump's rights, because there was nothing legal, there was nothing normal about what happened in this New York courtroom over the last month and a half. We moved for a change of venue here. I completely agree with Todd Blanche that it was impossible for President Trump to have a fair trial in Lower Manhattan. We also moved to recuse the judge off of this case. We believe that he was irretrievably conflicted and biased, and there was no way that he ever should have been presiding over this case. So look, in the days and weeks and months ahead, we are going to be challenging this verdict. I do not believe that it will end up standing. And as President Trump said last night, the ultimate verdict is going to be that of the American people at the ballot box next November. And I believe that they will be so outraged by this verdict that, if anything, it will help his chances, not hurt his chances of gaining back the White House.
You know, when it comes to the jury, just yesterday, you spoke with my colleague Jake Tapper. This is less than 24 hours ago. And you were complimenting this jury for how they were handling those deliberations. I want to play that moment.
And most of all, I'm just enthusiastic about the fact that the jury seems to be taking its duties very seriously. They're considering the law. They're considering the evidence. We believe if they do that, they'll end up at a just verdict here, which is an acquittal.
Understandably, this is not the verdict that you wanted, obviously. But is a jury no longer thoughtful, serious, or considerate simply because you didn't get the outcome that you wanted?
Well, I think one of the key issues here is the jury instructions. I think Judge Merchan essentially led the jury to this guilty verdict. We're obviously going to be challenging aspects of those instructions on appeal. A judge has a lot of control over his courtroom, and that's one of the reasons we moved so aggressively to have Judge Merchan recused off of this case, because we believe that he does have irretrievable biases that under New York law clearly warranted a recusal.
Will Scharf, we are out of time, but this will not be the last time that we speak. Thank you.
Good to be with you. Thanks.
Still to come here, what is next for Donald Trump after his historic conviction? Could the former president actually go to jail? We'll discuss next as CNN's special coverage continues.